good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness.
Shalom Israel, Shalom. Welcome to another Truenation edition class of Bible Basics. I'm your teacher this evening. My name is Shahad Ahmad, and my reader to my right is
Ayan.
And we are going to go into, the title of today's lesson is We Are Known by Our Fathers, Not Our Skin Color. So we're going to talk about what identifies and what makes an Israelite, right? And we're gonna debunk a bunch of beliefs out there, right? So a lot of what you'll hear in the media is that we are the Black Hebrew Israelites, right? And there's a reason why the color is attached to it, right? It's another way to kind of separate us and to kind of delegitimize our heritage, right? We are not Black Israelites. An Israelite can't be identified solely by physical traits. Israelites' identity has always been determined by patrilineal lineage. the house of our fathers, not by outward appearance, skin tone, or cultural assimilation, right? The Most High has established a genealogical system of identification from the beginning, and the scriptures consistently confirm that who your father is determines who you are in the covenant. The truth dismantles both the world's racial classification system and the common objection that Israelites can be any color. While skin color is irrelevant as a sole identifier, bloodline through the father is everything. Understanding the principles protects today's scattered Israelites from identity confusion and encourages diligent study of lineage and reinforces covenant responsibility. There's a saying, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where we're going, right? And most of us as Israelites don't know that we're Israelites, don't know where we came from. We don't know our lineage. We don't know our history. We don't know the promises that were promised to us by our God. And so we don't know where we're going. And what we end up doing is chasing other cultures, chasing other religions, chasing other beliefs that keep us lost, that keep us destroyed, right? What makes this even more remarkable is that modern science confirms what the Most High established thousands of years ago, that fatherhood carries a unique biological signature that passes from generation to generation, unchanged by geography, culture, or outward appearance, right? So let's go to Numbers. We'll start at the beginning, 1 and 1, and we're going to talk about pedigree, right? Read.
The book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation on the first day of the 2nd month, in the 2nd year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after the families by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their Pause.
Okay, drop down to verse 18. So we see that there's a poll that Moses is commanded to take of all the Israelites, the males, by their families, by the house of their fathers, right? Read.
Verse 18. And they assembled all the congregations together on the first day of the 2nd month, and they were declared their pedigrees and their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from the 20 years old and upward by their polls.
So they identified who they were based on their fathers, every male 20 years and up, right? This is a national census commanded by the Most High. It's a covenant census, right? Every man 20 years and older had to declare his pedigree. The critical phrase here is by the house of thy fathers, of their fathers. Nobody was asked what they looked like. Nobody was sorted by complexion, hair texture, regional dialect. The singular question was, who is your father? Declared by their pedigree. The Hebrew is Yidyaldu, from the root Yalad, which is the Strong's H3205. The word means to bear, to begot, to bring forth. This reflects this form used here, means they declared their birth lineage, literally. They made known who begot them. This isn't self-identification. This is a genealogical declaration. Families, which is Mashpuka, Mashpuka, right? I think that's close, right? This is a Strong's H4940. This refers to a clan or a family group, a circle of relatives united by common ancestor, right? By a common ancestor, right? So by someone who who is their father, their forefather, right? It's not a neighborhood. It's not a nation state. It's a bloodline. That's what it means by family, right? And house of their father is Avitam, right? And it's a Strong's H1004 and H1. Biet means house or household, and Av means father. The house of the father is the foundational unit of Israelite identity. Your father's house determined your tribe, your inheritance, your duties, and your standing in the congregation. And this, while this is an Israelite thing, it's not only just Israelites, right? All the different nations, all the different kingdoms of the past use this model as well, right? That's why the firstborn of the king of lands where there were kings is the prince, and the prince gets the inheritance, right? He's next in line to the kingdom, right? And if he dies, then it goes to his brother, right? So it's not as unusual as people would like it to make it today, right? This is how many of nations have organized and structured their heritage, right? That's where you get junior from, right? The Most High didn't design a system of identity based on appearance, so it has nothing to do with what we look like. From the very beginning, Israel's national organization, the standard was the seed, declared through the father. The father is the one who passes his seed down to his children, right? And this is the principle of the entire lesson rests on, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 5, and we'll start at the top. And we're going to show that the father determines the seed. The scriptures show that the identity flows through the father from Genesis throughout the rest of the book, right? Go ahead, Genesis 5 and 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 5 and verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam in the day that God created man. In the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived in 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth.
So this is the first genealogy in the scriptures, and it follows the father's line. Adam begot Seth, right? And if you keep reading, you'll see that Seth begot Enos. The book of generations is a patrilineal record. This is the template the Most High used before Israel even existed as a nation. This lineage is through the father. Likeness and image are passed through begetting, not through skin color observation, right? Let's go to Genesis 12 and start at the top.
The book of Genesis, chapter 12 and verse 1. Now the Lord hath said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house.
From thy father's house, read.
Unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
Drop down to verse 7.
Verse 7. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed I will give this land.
Unto thy seed I will give this land. Read.
And there build he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him.
So the covenant is made with Abraham and his seed, right? And that word seed, Hebrew for zerah, is Strong's H2233. It means offspring, posterity, descendants. The promise of land, nationhood, and blessing is attached to Abraham's bloodline through the fathers, not to a phenotype. This seed promise travels from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. It doesn't go to Ishmael, doesn't go to Esau. The father's line carries the covenant, right? Let's read, go to Genesis 48, and we're going to read verse 16.
The book of Genesis, chapter 48 and 16. The angel which redeemed me from all evil bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
So it says, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, right? So he's giving a blessing to Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. This is Jacob. And he says, let my name be named on them and the name of my fathers. Identity is created by the father's name. These boys were born in Egypt to an Egyptian mother, Asenath. You can see this in Genesis 46 and 20. Yet they are fully Israelite because Joseph is their father. The mother's nationality did not disqualify the children. The father's seed determined who they are, right? So this also shows that it has nothing to do with the mother. The father's seed decides who that child is, what nation that child is, right? So if you have an Israelite father and you have a mother from any other nation, that's an Israelite child. Yep. If you have Edomite father, right, and an Israelite mother, guess what? You're an Edomite, right? And it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has nothing to do with any of your phenotypes, your actual physical attributes, right? And it has everything to do with the seed that you get from the Father, right? You can also go to Ruth 4 and 17 through 22. Obed is identified through Boaz, his father, not Ruth, despite Ruth being a Moabitess. The lineage reads, Boaz begot Obed, Obed begot Jesse, Jesse begot David. Ruth is honored, but genealogy runs through the father. You can also see it in Matthew 1, 1 through 16. It's a genealogy of Christ. And again in Luke 3, 23 through 38. Again, that's the genealogy of Christ. And it's traced through all of the fathers, right? Scripture never once uses skin color to trace lineage. The genealogies in the Bible that you find in Genesis 5, Genesis 10, Genesis 11, Numbers 1, 1 Chronicles 1 through 9, Matthew 1, and Luke 3 all follow the father's line. So don't let anyone try to convince you that lineage can be through the mother's line. It's not through the mother's line. It's only through the father's line, right? And this is how the Most High made man, right? It is critical that Israel follow it, right? But it isn't different for any other nations, right? It's through the seed, and the man is the only one that has the seed. Scripture never once used color to trace lineage. If the Most High's system for identification is by the Father, then any system that identifies people by skin color is a man-made system and not a biblical one, right? So a lot of the way that we are identified here in the United States is based largely on skin color, right? Black, right? If you're black, you're African American. Mexican, you're brown, and then you have your white, right? And then you have your red, which are Indians. They like to identify people and put people in groups based on color. They like to make it as ambiguous as possible, right? Because at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure that the Israelites don't come into the knowledge of who they are, because once they do, that's it for the rest of these nations. And all these other nations know that, right? The scriptures talk about it. We're also going to, let's confirm that this is, or let's I'm going to show that this is also confirmed in science, right? So science has now caught up to what the Bible has said from the beginning. What we've established from Scripture is that the Most High built a patrilineal system, identity through the Father, long before man developed any concept of genetics. But here's what's extraordinary. Modern biology confirms exactly what the Scriptures declared. The Father carries a unique genetic marker that is passed from generation to generation, virtually unchanged, that no mother can provide and no environment can alter. The Y chromosome is the biological house of the Father. Every human being receives 23 pairs of chromosomes, one set from the mother, one set from the father. Of these, one pair determines biological sex. Women carry 2 X chromosomes, and men carry 1 X and 1 Y chromosome. Here's the critical point, right? The Y chromosome is inherited exclusively from the father and can only be passed down by the father to his son. A mother has no Y chromosome to give. This means that the Y chromosome functions as a biological pedigree, a direct, unbroken chain from father to son, stretching back through eternity. When the men of Israel stood in Numbers 1 and 18 and declared their lineage by the house of their fathers, they were declaring something that science now confirms exists at the molecular level. Every son carries in his DNA a paternal signature that traces directly back to his father, his father's father, and so on, potentially for thousands of years. And this is from the human Y chromosome. An evolutionary marker comes of age in Nature Reviews Genetics, Volume 4, 2003, pages 598 through 612. There's also the Y chromosome haplogroups, and this is tracing the father's house through genetics. Scientists classify the Y chromosomes into categories called haplogroups, groups defined by specific mutations that accumulate slowly over thousands of years. Because these mutations are passed only from the father to son, haplogroups function as genetic tribal markers. Men who share a common ancient paternal ancestry carry the same or closely related haplogroups. This is precisely the principle of mishpashah, right? A family group united by a common father. Modern genetics has, in essence, rediscovered what Moses recorded, that many can be grouped by the house of their fathers based on what they carry in their seed. Research on populations throughout West Africa, Central Africa, and the African diaspora, including African Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, and Afro-Latinos, has identified a specific Y chromosome haplogroups, such as E1, B1A, that are carried at high frequencies among these populations. These shared paternal lineages confirm that these scattered groups descend from a common fathers, regardless of which modern nation they were displaced into. And you can see this is in a revised root of the human Y chromosome phylogenetics tree. The Origin of Patrilineal Diversity in Africa, the American Journal of Human Genetics, Volume 88, number 6, 2011, page 814 to 818. Skin color is surface, right? But seed is the actual substance, right? From a biological standpoint, skin color is one of the most superficial and rapidly changeable traits in human genetics. Melanin production, which determines skin pigment, which most people try to identify other people based on, right? That's the number one thing that people try to classify you as based on your skin color, right? It's controlled by a relatively small number of genes, primarily the MC1R, the SLC24A5, the SLC45A2, and some others. Can shift in populations within as few as 50 to 100 generations in response to environment, particularly in response to UV radiation exposure, right? So within 50 to 100 generations, the actual pigmentation or melatonin in a person can shift dramatically, right? Basically going from black to white, right, within 50 to 100 generations. And that's not even taken into consideration if you're marrying from your people into another light-skinned people, right? That can happen almost instantly. We see that today. We see that with, black mothers or black fathers who are dark pigmented marry very light-skinned or white people of their race or of other races, and that child can come out anywhere from dark skin to very light skin, right? I've even seen where you have twins and one is black, right? Black features, and one is white with white features, right? And the white one isn't albino, right? So pigmentation isn't really a good indicator of lineage or biological group, right? This means that a group of people descended from the same father could, after several centuries of living in different climates, look entirely different on the outside while still carrying the same paternal Y chromosome signature. The father's biological imprint is deep and stable. Skin color is shallow and adaptive. This is from The Evolution of Human Skin Coloration, Journal of Human Evolution, Volume 39, number 1, 2000, page 57 through 106. There's an additional source, The Evolution of Human Skin and Skin Color, Annual Review of Anthropology, Volume 33, 2004, page 585 through 623. So now we're going to talk about the epigenetic dimension, the father's experiences in the seed, right? There is emerging research in epigenetics, the study of how experiences can chemically modify gene expression without altering the DNA sequence itself, has demonstrated that traumatic experiences endured by fathers can be biologically transmitted to their children and grandchildren. A groundbreaking study at Mount Sinai Hospital examined the children and grandchildren of Holocaust survivors and found measurable epigenetic changes, specifically in genes related to stress regulation, the FKBP5 gene, that were passed down from parents to offspring. The traumatized generation's experiences literally marked the seed that was passed down. So trauma being passed down from generation to generation. Experiencing trauma, and from that experience, you're passing on that lived trauma to your offspring, right? This has now been shown in science, right? The source is Holocaust exposure induced intergenerational effects on FKBP5 methylatin, Biological Psychiatry, Volume 80, number 5, 2016, page 372 to 380, right? So let's consider the implications for us Israelites, right? Deuteronomy 28 describes centuries of curses that would befall the Israelites if they didn't obey, right? Let's get that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28, and let's read that.
From the top.
Read verse 1, yeah. Yeah, go ahead and read verse 1.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee to this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations on the earth.
It said, if we observe and do all his commandments, the Lord thy God, the creator of everything, will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, right? So we will be put in rulership over all nations, right? And then it goes and talks about all of the blessings that we would receive for obedience through verse 15, right? Go ahead and read verse 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and all his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So there's a stipulation to us being the children of the Most High God, right? Or there's standards because we are chosen as the Creator's people, because He chose us as His people, as His descendants, as His offspring and His bloodline. There was a level of there's a level of standard that we had to live up to, right? There is a level that we had to maintain. There are, we were given laws, statutes, and commandments that we were to follow. And the reason why we were to follow these things is because it would help us to maintain our leadership in a righteous way, in an unmessy way, right? And that's something that we haven't seen on the planet today. We've never seen any nation in rulership that has done it in righteousness, that has done it in an unmessy way, other than a few of our forefathers, right? So if we kept the commandments, we would receive the blessings, and you could read those in the beginning of 28. But if we didn't keep the commandments, then we're going to be punished, and our punishment is going to be these curses, and these curses are going to be over us, and a good indicator for identification throughout the generations, right? Because these curses are going to stay with us forever until we turn back to keeping the Most High's commandments, right? The curses describe slavery, persecution, scattering, psychological torment. You can see that in 28 and 65. Actually, let's read that. Verse 65.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
So we're not going to find any ease or peace, right? And we're not going to get any rest, right? So we're always going to be in a heightened state. We're never going to be able to relax, right? Read.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and a failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
A trembling heart, failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Modern epigenetics suggests that these generational traumas are not merely historical memories. They are carried biologically in the seed. The father's suffering is written into the children, passed down through paternal line, right? And you can kind of see that today. You can see that especially here. Here, because this is where I'm from, this is what I've seen, and this is what I experience. You can see how our people have a different mindset when it comes to the other nations, right? One of the very clear indicators is when you talk to an Israelite and you try to get them to understand that they're one of God's chosen people and that they have the opportunity for salvation. One of the very first questions that you hear is, well, what about the white man, right? Not what about all these other nations, but what about the white man? What about the man that has done unspeakable damage to us, unspeakable acts of violence, unspeakable acts of torture, unspeakable acts to us for generations? What about him? Does he have the ability to be saved? And if he doesn't, then a lot of times they're turned off by this message. And what's clear is that this is, I can't think of the term, right? But the psychological term, basically where we have become endeared, if you will, to our captors, right? You know what I'm talking about?
I was trying to connect.
I can't think of the term. But basically what it means is you get to a place where you form a psychological bond with your captor, right? And that's what we've done here in the Americas, right? We have formed because of all of the oppression. It's not quite trauma bonding. It's a little different. It's something different. It'll come to me. It'll come to me, right? No, it'll come to me. But it's basically because of all of the Stockholm syndrome. That's what it is. That's what it is, right? Let's pull that up. So Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological coping mechanism where hostages or abused victims develop positive feelings, empathy, or loyalty towards their captors, abusers, as their survival strategy, right? So it stems from prolonged, life-threatening situations where the victim perceives the captor's small acts of kindness as humanity. Symptoms include bonding with the abuser, fearing, distrusting authorities, justifying the abuse. Right? And this is something that we've experienced from generations upon generations of abuse, of torture, of killing, lynching, right? Our people are so destroyed that we have formed a trauma bond with our captors, right? To the point where we don't want to believe that our captors are our captors. We don't want to believe that we are in oppression, right? Because of some of the small acts of kindness, if you will, because we're able to go out and get a job, because we're able to go out and buy what we want with the means that we have, right? Because we're able to travel once we've gone through and made and filled all the provisions that we needed to fill in order to be able to leave and get back into this country legally, right? Because of all of these things, because we have a home, because we have a nice car, because we don't have to ask to eat, to go to the bathroom, right? We believe that we are free, right? We believe that we have the opportunity to do whatever it is that we want to do, right? We don't want to believe that we're captives. We don't want to believe that we're still oppressed, right? But the thing is, we are, right? Just because you see a very small number of us that are able to have some sort of societal success, right? A lot of us believe that that's attainable to all of us, when the reality is it's not. Right? And it's not, because the people who allow for that success is not going to allow for that kind of success as a whole, as a people, right? Because again, at the end of the day, the elevation of Israelites is going to be the destruction of the rest of these nations, right? And so they're going to do whatever they can to ensure their longevity, to ensure that they're able to stay in rulership as long as possible, right? This is consistent with what the scriptures have already declared, right? If you go to Exodus 20:5.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of thy fathers upon the children unto the third and the fourth generation of them that hate me.
Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation, right? That's exactly what's being talked about right here, the generational traumas, right? It's the trauma that we experience are based on the curses that we are experiencing because we are disobedient, right? And the Most High has made it so that we're destroyed and damaged because of the sins of our fathers, right? That's that generational traumatic experience that's passed biologically to the children, right? It's the curse that's put on us because we have been disobedient, right? The Most High told us that what the fathers experience, whether sin or suffering, travels through the generations. Science is now only catching up to what was spoken in Sinai, right? The biology is clear. The father's line carries a genetic signature that skin color cannot replicate, replace, or override. The Y chromosome passes from the father to son unchanged for thousands of years. You got it.
Okay.
Skin color can shift within centuries or within marriage to other nations. Epigenetic trauma marks the seed across generations. Science, without knowing it, has confirmed the Bible principle. You are known by your fathers, not by your skin color. The Most High built this into our very DNA. Go ahead and read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So skin color doesn't do this for you, right? Just because you have brown skin or you have black skin, it doesn't make you a holy people, right? The Most High has done that, and the Most High he has an instrument for measuring that, right? It's blood, right? And it's blood that's passed down from father to son, right? Israel's distinction is it's not based on color, it's based on election by the Most High. He chose a specific people. That choosing follows a specific bloodline. The world's attempt to reduce identity to melanin is a distraction from the scriptural truth that Israel is a nation of people identified by their fathers, carrying specific prophetic markers, right? And that's the curses in Deuteronomy 28 that confirm who they are in the earth today. And as we just established, even biologically, melanin is one of the most mutable traits in the human genome, shifting with climate and environment across generations, while the Y chromosome, the father's genetic signature, remains stable for millennia. The Most High anchored identity in what is deep and permanent and not in what is surface and changeable. So honestly, we need to kind of shift our mindsets from these thoughts that somehow we're identifiable solely by our skin color, yes, right? On both sides, right? Because there are Israelites who believe that only the blacks are Israelites, and then there are obviously people who believe that an Israelite can be any color, right? And the reality is that has nothing to do with skin color, and that's what we're showing today, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Read 15 again. Because we now need to be able to identify who the Israelites are, all right?
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Now read verse 37, and I encourage you to go through if you haven't already, or even if you have, do it again, right?
Yes.
Read all of Deuteronomy. Start from the top, right? And 1 through 15, and then from 15 through 68, right? And especially on the curses, 15 through 68, think in your mind of what groups of people have endured all or most of these things, right? And what people haven't, right? Read 37.
Verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
An astonishment is a surprise. It's shock. It's bafflement, bewilderment, confusion, right? An astonishment is it's a great surprise, right? You can't really figure out what it is, but it's something, right? And who hasn't been an astonishment, and who is an astonishment to this day, right? Blacks, Hispanics, natives here in this land, especially, and you'll see it, everywhere you go. We're looked at as an astonishment, right? We're looked at something that just can't be. These people who have been oppressed for so long, these people have been treated, have been trampled on, have been killed, all of these different ways for all of this time, and yet they still continue to push on. They still continue to continue to live, right? Continue to pass on, continue to grow from generation to generation, right? It's we have endured things that other peoples and other nations could never endure. And that's one of the things that makes us an astonishment, right? It shouldn't be the case that we are as strong as we are. It shouldn't be the case that we are as resilient as we are, right? A proverb, a byword, right? How many different words throughout history have they called us blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans, right? Especially black people, well, that I'm familiar with, being black. There's all kinds of words that I've been called personally, right? And there's all kinds of words that I know that other quote unquote black people have been called throughout generations, right? Even in my lifetime, black people have been called by different names, right? Read verse 64.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the end of the earth even unto the other, and thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Read 68.
Verse 68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold into your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So we see in verse 64, right? One of the curses is that we're going to be scattered among all people, right? And one of the very clear ways that you can recognize this, especially in the Americas right now, is by going to the different countries in Central and South America, especially in Central America, right? What you will find, look at the cuisine, look at the natives' cuisine, right? And look at the staples in the cuisine. And what you'll see, if you're really paying attention, is that the different dishes from the different countries in the Central and South Americas, right? Belize, Jamaica, Cuba, all of the Caribbean, right? While these are land spaces with different names, what you'll see is the cuisines are very similar, right? A lot of them are based in rice, and what you can start to understand is that it's just different flavoring, different takes on the same food, right? Because a lot of these people are the same people, right? And then in verse 68, who was enslaved in Egypt, right? And who was rescued and delivered from Egypt as slaves, right? We know that in the Bible it's the Israelites, right? And right here in 68, it's saying, again, we're going to go into Egypt, which Egypt means bondage, and it says we're going to go in again by ships, right? And we didn't get out of Egypt by ships before. We walked out of Egypt, right? So the Egypt, or the bondage that we must be going into, is the transatlantic slave trade, right? And which people were a big part of the transatlantic slave trade, quote unquote, black people or Israelites, right? No other nation was impacted as heavily as Israelites in the slave trade, right? And here today, the after effects of slavery still are on us today, right? We still haven't been able to dig our way out of slavery. We still haven't been able to manage to get our way back to level with everyone else in society. We're still oppressed. We're still at the bottom of society here, right? And there's of all the different ways that we have tried to get back even, right? There were how many different towns and villages that were solely black people that were running them, that were running the convenience stores, the drug stores, the auto shops, right? Doctors, libraries. How many different towns in North America were there that were successful for a time until they got destroyed by the leading nation of this land, right? That's a curse. There's no way that we can do it on our own. The only way of prosperity is through the Most High and keeping His commandments, right? These curses are the identifier. You can't look at someone's skin and determine whether their ancestors were brought on slave ships into bondage, whether the people have become a byword and a proverb among the nations, or whether they have been scattered to the four corners of the earth. But you can look at the historical record and see that these curses have been fulfilled upon specific groups of people, blacks, Hispanics, and natives especially, throughout the Americas, and the Disperia, right, who descend from the fathers of Israel, right? Skin color alone can't prove your covenant standing, establish tribal affiliation, confirm prophetic fulfillment, replace genealogical declaration, or override the Y chromosome paternal lineage. The only lineage is through the fathers confirmed by the prophetic curses can do this, right? Let's go to Joel chapter 3. And verse 1, go ahead when you got it.
Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, who they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy and a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
Drop down to 6.
Verse 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, and ye might remove them far from their border.
The children of Judah were sold and scattered, removed far from their borders. Their identity as Judah's children comes from their father Judah, one of the 12 sons of Israel. They were not sold because of their skin color, though. They were sold because of who they wore by blood, and they suffered because of disobedience to the covenant of the fathers received. Let's go to Psalms 147 and verse 19.
The book of Psalms, chapter 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and for his judgments they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
The law, statutes, and judgments belong to a specific nation, Israel. This is an exclusive covenant. It doesn't belong to a skin color. It belongs to a people identified by their father, Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel in Genesis 32 and 28. When we keep the commandments, we are keeping our father's covenant. The world wants you to identify by color because color is controllable. They can control you when you're a color, right? They can redefine it, dispute it, and dilute it. They can do whatever they want to you because you've identified as a color. Science confirms it is mutable and superficial, which is perfect for controlling, right? But lineage cannot be erased. The Y chromosome your father gave you has traveled through centuries untouched by climate, enslavement, or migration. Your fathers are your fathers. The curses confirm who carries the seed of Israel today. And no debate about complexion can undo what the Most High established through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Again, go through Deuteronomy 28, 16 through 68, and really try to make sense of the people on the land, the people in the world today, which people groups have experienced these curses. Let's go to Hosea 4 and 6. Because we need to see why it's important to know who your father is, right? What's the consequence of remaining ignorant of your identity? Read.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
It says, my people, Israel, is destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Read.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
So the Most High is saying that he's going to reject thee, right? Or reject Israel. Read.
That thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children.
The Hebrew word for destroyed is damah. It's Strong's H1820, meaning to be cut off, to cease, to perish. And knowledge is da'ath, Strong's H1847, and it means knowledge, understanding, or discernment. So the Most High's people perish because they don't know who they are. When you don't know your father, you don't know your covenant. And when you don't know your covenant, you don't keep the commandments. When you don't keep the commandments, you remain under the curses. This is not a passive problem. It's an active slothfulness, a refusal to seek out the truth of your identity. Our people are content identifying as colors, countries, or continents rather than actually seeking out our true history and lineage. Proverbs 19 and 15.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 19, and verse 15. Slothfulness casteth unto a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger.
The Hebrew word for slothfulness here is ajsla, and it's the Strong's H6103, meaning sluggishness, laziness, indolence. The deep sleep, Tardama, is Strong's 8639, the same word used for the deep sleep the Most High placed on Adam to remove his rib in Genesis 2 and 21. Spiritual slothfulness puts you into a supernaturally deep sleep regarding your identity, an idle soul, one that refuses to search the scriptures and trace the lineage of the fathers, will hunger for truth and never be satisfied. We take on different cultures, practices, and beliefs of other nations in hopes of improving, and it's all in vain, our situation, and we never understand that we are under the curses, right? Because we never take the time to really examine these scriptures, but rather we believe what our pastors say. We believe what Instagram says. We believe what YouTube says, instead of actually inspecting the scriptures for ourselves, right? Go to Ezra 2, and we're going to read 59 and then to 62.
The book of Ezra, chapter 2 and 59. And these were they which went up from Telamelah, Telharsa, Cherub, Idon, and Immer, but they should not show their father's house and their see whether they were of Israel.
So, these were priests supposedly who went up, but were not able to show who their father was. Right? They didn't have the documentation. They didn't have the proof of who their father was. Right? Read verse 62.
Verse 62. They sought their register among those that were reckoning and by genealogy, but they were not found. Therefore, were they as polluted, but put from the priesthood.
Okay, read it one more time.
These sought to register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found. Thereof, where they as polluted put from their priesthood.
So it says they sought the register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, right? So they sought to register themselves among those that were already registered legitimately, right? But they were not found, right? They couldn't find where they were in the records. Therefore, were they as polluted, put from the priesthood, right? So they were removed. They couldn't join the priesthood. This is one of the most sobering passages in the scripture. After the Babylonian captivity, when the Israelites returned to the land, some could not prove their father's house. They could not declare their pedigree, and the consequence was severe. They were put from the priesthood as polluted, not because of their skin color, because they could not identify their father. This is the danger for our people today. If you're an Israelite, but you do not know it, study it, and walk in it, you are functionally in the same position as those in Ezra 2 who could not show their lineage. Right? Let's read Proverbs 13 and 4.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard deserveth and hate nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat.
It says, the soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Many of our people desire to know who they are, right? You see people doing all kinds of things to try to understand themselves better, right? They feel something pulling at them, an ancestral longing, but slothfulness keeps them from doing the work, studying scripture, learning the history of their fathers, understanding the curses and the promises. This requires diligence. The diligent soul, the one who searches, will be made fat or satisfied, nourished, full of understanding. Not knowing your father's house is not a neutral position. It's a dangerous run. Let's go grab Isaiah 51. The Most High system requires that you can declare your pedigree. If the world has taught you to identify by a color or a location instead of by your fathers, you have been deceived into a system that was never designed by the Most High. The slothful Israelite who does not pursue the knowledge is asleep, and that sleep has consequences. So you want to wake up. That's what woke means. Woke actually means knowing who you are. You want to be a woke Israelite because you know who you are and you keep these commandments because you know that you have an opportunity for eternal salvation, unlike the rest of these nations, right? Go ahead and read that when you got it. 51 and 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 51, verse 1. Hearken unto me, ye that follow after righteousness. Ye that seek the Lord, look unto the rock, whence ye were hewn into hole of the pit, whence ye are digged.
Read.
Look unto Abraham your father, and look unto Sarah that bare you. For I call him alone, and bless him, and increase him.
The Most High himself tells you where to look. Look unto Abraham your father, not your skin, not your government issues, racial category, not the label the world has placed onto you. Look unto your father. Look in these scriptures. You are hewn from a rock, come from a specific lineage, shaped by a specific covenant, an everlasting covenant, and called to walk in specific commandments. The world's system of color classification is a cage designed to keep you from knowing the truth. But Numbers 1:18 gives you the key. Declare your pedigree after your families by the house of your fathers. And now science itself testifies your father placed a marker in your DNA, the Y chromosome, that has traveled through every generation, through every captivity, through every scattering, untouched and unbroken. The Most High designed it that way. He wrote the house of your fathers not only in the scrolls, but in the seed. Know your father, know your covenant, keep the commandments, and teach your children to do the same, so that when the roll is called, your household will not be found among those who could not show their father's house. You have anything you want to add?
La.
Man, all praises.
Your fathers is.
All praises to the Most High. With that, say Shalom, Israel.
If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't even know